We'll go straight to discussion so that we can finish on time. Because I know that when the discussion starts, we have a lot of questions to ask. So we have a discussion on diarrhea diseases. And I know that most people are surprised. Why do we choose diarrhea? I think there's nobody here that has not had diarrhea. So to us, it's like a way of life. It's not part of life. It's not something serious. Why should we be talking about diarrhea? People have diarrhea, they don't even take drugs. There's something they always do. Diarrhea will just go. So why should we be talking about diarrhea? But I think after the discussion today, we know that diarrhea is a really serious case. Yes. In some places, it's more serious than HIV that we'll look at. So we're having a panel discussion. Not that I'm going to talk about diarrhea. We have some people that we selected that talk about diarrhea. It is not that these people that were selected are the only people that can talk about diarrhea, but we just have to select something. So we have about a panel of about 5 to 6 persons. Dr. Francis will be there as our boss. He may not speak much, but he will be there to oversee everything, and at the end he will give us 1 or 2 advices and real-life experience that we have had about diarrhea. So without wasting time, I will call on the panelists who will be discussing about diarrhea disease. So first I will call on, if I call on you, you come up to the stage and take your seat, and after then to start. I'll call on Otunene Chidi. Next person I'll call on is, if I don't get your name correctly, don't be angry with me. I'm not perfect. Kawika Lilian. Yes. Then I will start with the next question alongside this, you got showing that another process who assists her, and it's Edwin Jallo. Then the last but not the least, let's welcome Amma Brown. So, like I said, we're talking about diarrhea disease, and there are 2 things here, diarrhea and disease together. So, we first of all know what is diarrhea. Start talking about disease that causes diarrhea. So, first of all, one of them explained to us what is diarrhea, and at the same time, he explained to us different types of diarrhea, because diarrhea are not all diarrhea are the same. So tell us what is diarrhea, then from there we can get started, and after knowing what diarrhea, different types of diarrhea, then we can now know how to diagnose this diarrhea and know how to get to the bottom of everything about diarrhea. So without wasting time, because I said that we don't have enough time, I'll call on Steve to tell us what is diarrhea, tell us the types of diarrhea, and after then we will appreciate, we know what is diarrhea, then we'll start from there.
Right. Diarrhea. Like he rightly said, everyone here has one time diarrhea. It's a very common illness that is a very common illness that is that's mostly neglected. And from statistics, it has shown that diarrhea, as simple as it is the second leading cause of death in infants or growing children. Second to pneumonia. It's very, very simple. It looks very simple, but it's a very dangerous kind of disease. So what is diarrhea? What do we call diarrhea? You know, everyone of us has diarrhea. What is it called? So the World Health Organization came together and said, okay, let us give this thing a term. Let us classify, let us define this term, and they define diarrhea as a situation where a person is having stool, liquid stool. How will I put this properly? Like liquid stool more than 3 times a day. When your stool is not in a good shape or you're not in very good condition, and you're having people call it frequent stooling. Frequent stooling. Now, but there's a very confusing thing about diarrhea. And we also define that it is also when someone is stooling more than he does daily. If I'm a normal human being, I stool twice a day, and then suddenly I find myself going to the toilet 4 times a day, it's considered diarrhea. So it's not basically, normally when you eat your food, each time you eat, you should have stomach bowel movement. Whenever you eat, that's why infants stool more than adults, because they eat constantly, so they stool constantly. So as adults, we eat less, or we eat maybe 3 times a day. It's estimated that we should go to the toilet or 3 times a day, because every meal you eat, you should have bowel movements, and you should have churning peristalsis that should stimulate you defecating. So when you have more than 3 times a day, when you stool more than 3 times a day, and it's called your stool is kind of watery or loose, then it's considered diarrhea. Sorry, I almost said that the way So it's considered diarrhea. That's what it's called. So there are different kinds of diarrhea. I'm going to try my best not to encroach into other speakers talking about diarrhea. Well, there are different kinds of diarrhea. We have secretory diarrhea. We have osmotic diarrhea. We have the exudative diarrhea. We have inflammatory diarrhea. We have bloody ones, but they are classified into 2 broad things. One bloody diarrhea and what? Non-bloody diarrhea. So bloody diarrhea in the sense that when you see blood in the stool, there are certain situations you see blood in the stool. So such kind of diarrhea is considered bloody diarrhea. I think one of the speakers will explain some kind of organism or things that cause bloody diarrhea. So when you're having frequent stool that is liquid or loose and there's no blood in it, it's considered non-bloody diarrhea. So but when you see secretory diarrhea, also how do we say diarrhea is secretory? Dr. Rancy said before that as a doctor, you really do not care. You really don't know, you don't pay so much emphasis on what kind of diarrhea, but you just try to treat the diarrhea. I think a lot of people bother themselves or try to find that it's bloody or non-bloody. So when you have secretory diarrhea, the human body, if you know how the anatomy of our body is, from the mouth, through the esophagus, to the stomach, and the skin. There's contraction of the stomach, and the food is being passed through the small intestine, to the intestine for absorption. Now, when you have secretory diarrhea, in the situation where we have like cholera toxin, or have bacteria like Vibrio cholerae, that we all know, it's a kind of diarrhea that causes a pool of iron, into the lumen. And when iron comes in, the anion is chlorine. So when I take iron, I'm talking about chlorine. And chlorine is negatively charged. So when chlorine is coming in, because it's negatively charged, and the body is trying to adjust, the body brings out a positive ion to counter it, and that is sodium. And when sodium is coming to counter the positive neutrality discharges, they discover that sodium is an ion that comes with water. Sodium is an ion that comes with water. If you know what you do, and those the one and you know that sodium comes with water. So that thing pulls water, and water contributes to your stool and makes the stool gives it a very different kind of configuration. and they call it diarrhea. So that's what we call secretory diarrhea. So a classical example is cholera toxin infecting. And this kind of diarrhea, even if you don't eat, it's not that you still stool. Even if you don't eat, you still stool. That's why cholera is one of the most dangerous kind of organism that causes viral cholera is one of the most dangerous kind of organism that causes diarrhea. And every kind of diarrhea is always compared to cholera diarrhea. Because even if you don't eat, even if the person does not eat, the person keeps on what? Stooling. The person keeps on stooling. That's for security kind of diarrhea. But the other kind of diarrhea is called osmotic kind of diarrhea. Osmotic kind of diarrhea, let me just be fast. In osmotic kind of diarrhea, you see it in situations where you have, normally we define osmosis as what? The movement of water from a region of what? High concentration to a region of lower concentration. So it's like a pool of water also into the bowel. Now this is basically because of mild digestion, like when digestion is not going on properly in the stomach. For secretory diarrhea, we are talking about absorption of water. So we are talking about when the intestine or the ileum is having problem absorbing water. You know, normally when you're taking water or taking your food, after breakdown, the body does some kind of adjustment to maintain homeostasis, whereby important elements or important nutrients are being absorbed, including water. But 98% of water is what is taken back. So that's where we have secretory problem. So in this kind of osmotic problem, you don't have secretory, you don't have an absorption problem, you have a digestive problem. So you have maldigestion. So you see this kind of thing when you have lactose intolerance. When you have a patient having lactose intolerance, you have somebody having fructose intolerance, or having a person having celiac disease. Well, let me know which I'm defining this kind of disease. But these are examples where you find osmotic diarrhea. And in osmotic diarrhea, it's called that you take away the cause of that thing, the patients will become better. So if the patient is having lactose intolerance, that means the patient's system cannot digest lactose. If the doctor discovers that this patient is lactose intolerant and you remove the lactose from the meal, the patient becomes normal. Unlike secretory diarrhea, where even if you don't know the source, it's not a digestive problem, it's an absorptive problem. We also have what we call exudative diarrhea, which is blood. When you have mucus and blood on the stool, you see such things, shigellosis, and salmonellosis, and when you have bloody diarrhea. Inflammatory diarrhea is what inflammation. Inflammation is when you disrupt the normal mechanism of the cell, whether infection, viruses, bacteria, fungi, any kind of diarrhea, we call them inflammatory kind of diarrhea. But there's also one kind of diarrhea they call high motility diarrhea. Like it's high motility diarrhea. That means the food is rushing down the GI tract. The food is coming down the GI tract very fast. Like it's not following the normal procedure, it's very, very fast. So it's not properly digested, it's coming down very fast. You find such things in patients that are undergoing vagotomy. Or sometimes you see, it's also a part of complication, some kind of menstruation period. Some kind of people, it's a complication of menstruation where you have that kind of diarrhea as one of, it's a very rare situation. So that's where you find that kind of diarrhea. So I think when I'm talking about the treatment, I'll try and, because of time, sorry, I'm rushing. So because of time, I'll just try and, thank you very much. Diarrhea is actually a disease. If you say like it's a disease because it's caused by something, so it's a disease. You know, people classify. It doesn't have a broad classification like this. Standards classification. So diarrhea is a disease. You can call it a disease because it's caused by an organism that causes it, and it's considered a disease.
I think we have said so much about diarrhea. So I think we have a broad idea of now where we are going to now. So I want to ask Lillian, why did they call the disease diarrhea? Why? Can you tell us why? Can you tell us, give us an example?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll try not to take too much time to explain this, but coincidentally, funny enough, I was going to discuss the subject of whether diarrhea is a disease or a symptom. Actually, diarrhea is considered a symptom because it can be associated with a number of, like for example, 100 or more diseases or conditions can be associated with diarrhea. So in that sense, diarrhea is a symptom, not a disease. And then again, there are types of diarrhea. Actually, when we look at why are diseases referred to as diarrhea, we have to look at two factors here. We have to look at the frequency of bowel movements as well as the consistency of the stool. And Dr. Ken Ethan at the University of Bristol developed a scale which consists of 7 categories in which medical physicians and medical staff use to categorize the form of human stool. And it has 7 categories. So diarrhea is considered, it is considered diarrhea if the stool has form 6 and 7, those types, which is like type 6 is more of, type 6 is more of mushy and fluffy stool. It's not exactly liquidy, but it is very soft and mushy. And in type 7, we find that the stool is very liquid. It's actually more liquid. There's no solid particles in it at all. And now if we look at frequency, like my colleague said, it's 3 or more bowel movements within 24 hours. That is what we consider diarrhea. And of course, there are 3 types of diarrhea. There's what we call watery diarrhea, and this is 3 times or more liquid bowel movements within 24 hours. Then again, there's what we call dysentery. And when I first started studying about diarrhea, I thought dysentery was a disease on its own, but it's actually a description of a type of diarrhea. It means there could be blood or mucus in this form of diarrhea. And then we find persistent diarrhea, and it's normally associated with chronic conditions. It lasts for more than 14 days, and conditions you can find this type of diarrhea include inflammatory bowel syndrome, or, for example, cancer of the small intestine. You can find tiny diarrhea in these things. And then many factors have been associated, or disorders. I mean, many disorders or pathogens have been associated with causing diarrhea. So there are so many types of bacteria, but to name a few, there's Vibrio cholera, Shigella, E. coli, Salmonella, Campylobacter, Yersinia enteropolitica, and Staphylococcus, just to name a few, because I don't want to bore you with a big list of bacterial agents. And then there are also viral agents. Oh, and before I forget, there's also what they call the traveler's diarrhea, and it is caused by the enterotoxigenic E. coli, and it's very common. It causes 80% of traveler's diarrhea. Then we have viral agents such as rotavirus. It is known to kill more than 500,000 children under the ages of 5 per year. They developed a vaccine, but recently it has been taken off the market for reasons I really don't understand, or I haven't looked into. Okay, there's also parasitic causes, for example, Entamoeba histolytica and Diarrhea lamblia. Those are the common types. And other conditions that could cause diarrhea include metabolic disorders such as diabetes mellitus. There's pancreatic insufficiency. There could be hyperthyroidism, or others call it Addison's disease. And food allergies are also known to cause diarrhea. For example, lactose intolerance can cause diarrhea. Antibiotics. Some antibiotics have side effects that can cause diarrhea, as well as irritable bowel syndrome. It is known to cause quite an annoying type of diarrhea, as well as food poisoning and vegetal neurosis. This is not a digestive disorder in itself, but it is a neurological disorder that can cause diarrhea. So this is just to give you a brief scope of what it can cause, and something, just to give you an idea of where we can find out what conditions can cause it.
From what we learned from the definition of diarrhea and the types of diarrhea that she has told us, and why some diseases are called diarrhea disease. But she said something interesting. She said diarrhea is a symptom and not a disease. So that means there are diseases that are causing diarrhea. So how do they cause diarrhea? How do they cause diarrhea? So I want Git to tell us the etiology and the pathogenesis, how these diseases cause diarrhea. So let's welcome Dr. Git to tell us.
think you almost said everything about it. You said almost everything. I don't know what else to say. So let's just say one or two things. Yeah. By our world organization, we divide the diseases into positive agents as being either infectious or non-infectious. So if we have the infectious diarrhea, these are the diarrheas caused by as a result of infection. For example, we can have viral infection, bacterial infection, or parasitic infection. For the viral infection, the most common, as you said, the rotavirus is the most common cause of diarrhea in children. In adults, we have the Norwalk viruses or noroviruses that causes most common kind of diarrhea in adults. Then we also have viral infections like adenoviruses can also cause viral infections, and enteroviruses. Viruses, which are the most common cause of diarrhea. And for the bacterial viruses, we have viral cholera. Viral cholera, as we say, is the most common cause and the most dangerous of all these kind of diseases. In fact, in our school, they classify cholera as especially dangerous, among the especially dangerous diseases. It means once somebody is infected with cholera, everybody around the region will be isolated and will try to find the positive, the source of infection and try to treat all that have been infected. We also have diarrhea as a result of E. coli infection. Different forms of E. coli. We know we have the pathogenic and non-pathogenic E. coli. The pathogenic E. coli, for example, the enteropathogenic E. coli, O11 and O86, we have the enterohemorrhagic E. coli. These are usually lead to their complication can lead to hemorrhagic uremic syndromes. Then we have the enteropathogenic E. coli. These are the ones that usually cause the prevalence diarrhea. Most common cause of prevalence diarrhea. Enteropathogenic E. coli. They also have other forms of diarrhea like enteroinvasive E. coli. Enteroinvasive is the one that usually has a dysentery-like kind of diarrhea. These are mostly viral and bacterial causes of diarrhea. We also have the salmonellosis, salmonella that causes salmonella typhi, salmonella paratyphi, and the other salmonellas that causes food poisoning, salmonella food poisoning. Okay, the difference is that the salmonella typhi usually affects the intestines and it's more severe. But the salmonellosis are usually zoonotics, which means they're usually from animals. That when you eat or you eat food that has been contaminated with these bacteria, that can lead to diarrhea. We also have the Shigella kind of diarrhea. Shigella diarrhea that causes Shigella dysentery. These are the ones that are invasive. Unlike the other diarrhea that will just be on the surface of the mucosa and the epithelium. Shigella will penetrate beyond the surface and go to the epitheliocytes, the mucosal layers, and begin to cause problems with the microcirculation of the gastrointestinal tract. We also have the Campylobacter pylori, the Campylobacter jejuni. It's also another common cause of bacterial diarrhea. It's usually seen as diarrhea as a result of even travelers can also have it common in developing regions. We also have diarrhea as a result of parasitic infections. For example, the Ectomelia histolytica is the most common cause of diarrhea in parasitic infections. We also have the Giardia and Lamblia intestinalis. These are mostly common cause of diarrhea as a result of parasitic infections. So most of these are more like the infectious diarrhea. There are cases where botulism associated as part of infectious diarrhea. Botulism, when you take food, sausages, and canned foods that have been expelled. These food can contain botulism toxins and they can cause the gastrointestinal problems and diarrhea. So botulism associated with as also common cause of diarrhea in such cases. So the only way to find out if it was a botulism infection is our analysis of the patient. Eating up canned food and stuff. To read that for the botulism infection. Now for the other classification of diarrhea diseases, non-infectious diarrhea diseases. This is where we have diseases as a result of maldigestion, malabsorption, and other problems with the pancreas, the exocrine portion of the pancreas, and many patients have intolerance, as I said, intolerance to lactose intolerance, glucose intolerance, celiac diseases, gluten intolerance. All this can lead to non-infectious diarrhea. So in the non-infectious group, we now have like the malabsorption diseases, maldigestion diseases, and a lot of pancreatic diseases. Then we also have, apart from this, we also have the other one they call inflammatory bowel diseases. Inflammatory bowel diseases like ulcerative colitis and the Crohn's diseases. These are chronic diseases, but they can also have their symptoms as diarrhea-like symptoms. Okay, in patients. So ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease are also seen as non-infectious kind of diarrhea. Okay. These are more like the etiology, but the pathogenesis of diarrhea, as we initially said, could be either secretory, osmotic, or inflammatory and invasive. For secretory,
because of that, can you just give us the general etiology? What happens inside you when you're infected? The things that we don't see that happen inside you at the end of
Right. So for the pathogenesis for secretory diarrhea, we have what happens is, for example, viral cholera infection or enterococogenic E. coli. These are the most common ones that causes the secretory. When you inject the toxins, the viral cholera produces a toxin called cholerogens. Okay, then these toxins have a way of alternating the sodium-potassium pump in order sodium-potassium pump in the cells of all the GI tracts. When the sodium-potassium pump is alternated as a result of stimulation of the adenine cyclase enzymes, this now causes the production of sodium ions, and this sodium ion by osmosis will attract water to itself and cause increase in fluid water motility from GI. And the patient is going to have this watery diarrhea. So for this secretory diarrhea, we don't really, it's not invasive, like it affects the mucosal lining. It doesn't affect the mucosal lining, it's just overproduction, at least to sodium potassium pump impairment. The fluid will not pass out and the patient has But for the osmotic diarrhea, there's a lot of osmosis. So when you have too much of these osmotic molecules or substances in the GI tract, they try to attract water to themselves and they cause osmotic diarrhea. Like in case of malabsorption syndrome, maldigestion syndrome, and problem with the pancreas, where the enzymes are not produced, so the digestion is not complete. So the water is being carried with the osmotic molecules. Then for the inflammatory diarrhea mechanism is a result of irritation or rupturing of the mucosal lining. Remember the GIT tract, the small intestine is mostly responsible for absorption. Now when the mucosal lining, the microvilli that aids in the absorption is being damaged, the absorption rate reduces and the water is now being excreted out in this form. So this is basically the etiology for inflammatory diarrhea. Thank you very much.
We know that this diarrhea it's not that you just sit down in your house one day and you start having diarrhea. There must be something that causes diarrhea. How did you get that thing that causes diarrhea? Because it's not that maybe you used to eat normally, but suddenly you just have diarrhea. Not that the thing was within you and just had that diarrhea. You got it from somewhere. So I want to ask Shem, our nurse, how did people get this diarrhea? What are these sources of infection of this diarrhea?
Actually, when you talk about the source of the infection, diarrhea, the source is the carrier. I said the carrier because, like you've said previously, it could be through organisms, but basically person. So we say the source is a person, or we can call it the carrier. So when we talk about the mode of transmission, it is basically through fecal-oral route. Could be, some people would say it's waterborne or foodborne. And you can transmit it through contaminated hands, contaminated food or water, contaminated surfaces or fomites. Like, for instance, if you go to the toilet and you don't properly wash your hand after that, you go to probably your kitchen, pick up something, put in your mouth, you can actually get it through that means. Or maybe you have some dirty stuffs that you didn't, your plates, your cups, you can get it through that means to when you use it to eat. So it's like, it could be from animal to person, or it could be from person to person. You as a person, when you pick up something and someone else uses it and it's already contaminated, the other person has the tendency of getting the diarrhea, even though it's not like you had contact with the person like to get it. So people can get it through that means, or for, okay, like they were talking of diarrhea in children, and they have killed so many children. I would say the reason why that happened is because, you know, children like playing around, they touch surfaces, and then no proper hygiene, no proper washing of hands, and you see them, they put anything into their mouth. So through these means, they can easily get it. So we have like different means of transmission outside you just eating something, or through your plate, or like it could be through your food, cooked food. You probably went out to eat something and it is not properly prepared, or in a very good hygienic environment, you can actually have diarrhea. So I would say the primary mode of transmission of diarrhea is through fecal-oral route. And like they said before, you can also get diarrhea through use of some medication, but I guess someone else will shed more light on that later. Thank you.
Please, please, we are going around. If you have any questions, you can write it down. Then we'll read it and see what I can answer your side. Or if you want us to ask a question, we'll give you the opportunity to ask a question. Just indicate when it is time for question. Because we can't take questions now. Take questions until the end of the discussion. So we have picked up the time. They talked about different kinds of diarrhea. Different patients come to the doctor for diarrhea. I won't be asking how do you know somebody has diarrhea, because you already know the person comes to that. I have requests to more than 3 times in a day. So you already know what the person comes. It's part of the complaint. But before you treat someone that has diarrhea, you don't treat all diarrhea the same way. You must know the type of diarrhea the person is having before you can know how to treat it. So I want to call on Hammer Branch to differentiate this different kind of diarrhea. How do we know this is kind of diarrhea this person has? So you know how to tackle the diarrhea. So we call it how do you diagnose diarrhea and how do you differentiate them. So I want that to differentiate diarrhea.
Thank you very much. It looks like everybody has said a whole lot of things about diarrhea, so I'll just probably put the points in you mentioned. So that's it. Alright, one of them actually divided diarrhea into infectious and non-infectious diarrhea. So I'm going to do the differential diagnosis according to these two categories. So you have infectious diarrhea, you have non-infectious diarrhea. For non-infectious diarrhea, I chose to divide them into two: functional and then diarrhea caused by genetic diseases. So the first one, we have the infectious, and the infectious can be caused by bacteria or viruses. So I chose 3 bacterial agents or 3 bacterial forms of diarrhea, and then 1 viral form of diarrhea. So the 3 I chose are cholera, salmonellosis, shigellosis, and then for the viral I chose rotaviral. And okay, so the etiology: if a person comes with diarrhea, there are a lot of things you can get to know if this is viral cholera, this is shigellosis, this is salmonellosis, or this is from viral origin. So, like they said earlier, for cholera, the etiology is vibrio cholera, and then for shigellosis, it's Shigella. For the the diarrhea caused by rotavirus, it is rotavirus infection. And then for salmonella, we have different species of salmonella that can cause diarrhea. But I want to stress that more especially salmonella typhi, in the group of salmonella, doesn't necessarily cause diarrhea. It causes more of constipation than diarrhea. So the salmonellosis we are talking about right now is the other species of salmonella, especially salmonella enteritidis. has been known to cause more of the salmonellosis than all the other agents. And then for the mode of transmission, we know that all these agents, including the viral diarrhea, are fecal-oral, like you said earlier. And then in all these cases, in the anamnesis, we are taking the history of disease or the history of life. We realize that in all these cases, the patient would have had contact with somebody who has had the disease before, or somebody who already has the disease. And we know that all these agents, when they enter the body, they have an incubation period. So depending on the incubation period of the agent, the diarrhea manifests itself. So if the patient comes to you and tells you that, for example, the vibrio cholera, the incubation period is some few hours, averagely 48 hours. So if the patient comes to you and tells you that about 2 days ago, there was somebody in the house having diarrhea and blah, 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 and then at that point the patient has diarrhea, you can actually consider it as one of the criteria for this kind of diagnosis. And it should also be noted that salmonellosis, cholera, Shigella, and most of the diarrhea disease all have acute onset in anamnesis. So, especially the infectious ones, not the chronic ones, the infectious ones, most of them have acute onset. And then if you come to examination, if you are examining the patient, you will see that the patient has, because of the diarrhea, and then some of them, okay, sorry, let me mention this, that in the complaints, for all these diseases, it's not only diarrhea the patients will have. For cholera, the patients will have vomiting alongside the diarrhea, and the vomiting is usually fountain-like. It's usually fountain-like. And then there's stool in cholera, they call it rice water stool, because it is white with some whitish substances. They call, the scientists say it's pus, the whitish substance, they call it pus. So it is in the form of rice water. So there's two, that is typical for cholera. And then for salmonellosis, the stool is like green pea soup. It's dark green stew with stuff like green peas. So if you see that kind of stew, you know that it's specific for salmonellosis. And then for Shigella, it is, they call it rectal spit. It is a very, the stool is like spit, very small, with a large amount of mucus, and then blood. And then the viral infection, the stool is watery and is yellow. Sometimes they say it actually looks like the stool in cholera. And then in all these instances, there are other complaints that the patients might have. For Shigella, for instance, the patients will have pseudo urges to go to the toilet. Like the patient has the urge to go, but when the patient goes, the toilet will not come. And the time the toilet will come, it will be very, very small. For cholera, very frequent and watery. For salmonella, it's also very frequent and watery. And then for salmonella, the patient will have abdominal pain, usually in the periumbilical region, and then the lower regions of the abdomen. And then for Shigella, the patient mostly complains of pain in the left iliac region because there is spasm of the sigmoid colon, which causes spastic pain in that left iliac region. But for the viral diarrhea, the pain usually it occurs in children, and children can't really tell where the pain is. So what they do is they usually guard the whole abdomen when you want to touch it. So you know that the child actually has some pain in the abdomen alongside the diarrhea. And then of course there will also be signs of intoxication. They will all have, in all these cases, there are high temperature, but more especially in the viral infection, the temperature is subfebrile. And in all the others, at the beginning of the disease, if there are no forms of complications or bacteremia, the temperature will be subfebrile. But if there is bacteremia or any form of complication, then the temperature can be very, very high. And then other forms of intoxication, headache, malaise, lethargy, all those ones. And if we come to the complaint, the examination, in all these cases, they will have signs of dehydration. So you see that depending on the stage of severity, you can tell the stage of dehydration. But you can see signs like sunken eyes, the patient feels very weak, skin texture is reduced, the urine of the patient is usually very concentrated and dark. And then you see that because of the dehydration also there might be signs that are associated with cardiovascular system, like elevated heart rate, pulse, and stuff like that. And then for the laboratory and instrumental diagnosis, in all the bacterial cases, the complete blood count might be the same. You might have normal red blood cell count, but in the case of Shigella, because there is bloody diarrhea, you might have anemia in that case. And actually in all of them, you have leukocytosis with especially neutrophilia, with high levels of neutrophils. But in the viral diarrhea, you might have normal erythrocyte counts, but with leukocytosis, but with lymphocytosis, not neutrophils. So that's what you can use to differentiate between viral and the bacterial infections. And then for the biochemical analysis, you will see that in all these cases, electrolytes will be decreased because the patients are vomiting and then they are passing out watery stools. So electrolytes will also decrease. And then in the viral infection, it is not only, viruses have different ways of doing their stuff. So they don't only attack the intestinal system, even though it's causing diarrhea, but they cause other symptoms, other catarrhal signs, like the patient will have cough, the patient will have running nose and stuff. And sometimes in the viral, in the case of the rotavirus, it can affect the liver. Most of these viruses end up affecting the liver anyway. So in the biochemical analysis for the viruses, you might see elevated cardiac and liver enzymes, ALT, AST, GGT in that case. And then in rare cases, you find elevated bilirubin because if the virus is very active and causing damage everywhere, including the liver, it actually gets access into the blood and then enters the liver, then there will be other signs, jaundice and other signs of and then the bacteriological examination of the stool will also show, for example, in cholera, will show the etiologic agent. So in cholera, you reveal Vibrio cholera. In salmonella, you see salmonella enteritidis or any other form of salmonella. In Shigella, you see the Shigella. And then in the viral agent, they use virology examinations to detect the virus. And sometimes they use serological methods also, like neutralization reaction, complement binding reactions, and hemagglutination reactions to find antibodies to all these etiologic agents in the body. So if you use these methods, you find antibodies to Shigella, antibodies to salmonella, antibodies to cholera, and then antibodies to the rotavirus. So, and then for the functional diarrhea, you have diarrhea is more or less like an unexplained diarrhea because the patient has diarrhea, but the patient doesn't know what happened. And it is usually caused by either physiological or psychosocial factors. And with psychosocial factors, I mean like the patient has stress, or the patient, for example, has series of exams to write in a very long time, and the patient is always nervous, always has this kind of stress related to this kind of whatever is ahead. Or sometimes the patient doesn't even have stress, but it's just because the patient has is having dysfunction of the intestinal system, and so the patient has diarrhea. And then with this kind of diarrhea, they have a criteria for diagnosing it, and it was the criteria was first brought up in Rome, so they call it the Rome criteria. So Rome 2 criteria for diagnosis of functional diarrhea states that there should be loose watery stool without abdominal pain in about 75% of the stool that the patient has passed. and then the patient should have this complaint for the last 3 months, like the 3 months before the patient reports to the hospital. And then the first symptom of the disease should be about 6 months before diagnosis of the disease. So if the patient has diarrhea without abdominal pain in most of the diarrhea, and the patient has been having this kind of diarrhea for continuously 3 months, and then it actually started maybe 6 months ago, stop, and then for the last 3 months the patient has been having that kind of diarrhea, then you can actually put the diagnosis of functional diarrhea. It does not have etiologic factor. So if you search the stool, or if you search the stool, you're not going to find any etiologic agent. And then for the genetic diseases, they've already spoken about most of them. There is celiac stool disease, there is galactosemia, there is hypolactasia, and then there's lactose intolerance. And then for the celiac disease, you realize that it's an autoimmune disease, and it actually comes in association with some other disease that the patient might have. Like, for example, the patient has a condition like Addison's disease, or the patient has systemic lupus erythematosus or rheumatoid arthritis. There's already an autoimmune process going on in the body. So as soon as the patient eats the meal with gluten, or the meal wheat, oats, those meals, then the patient will have this kind of diarrhea. And then for diagnosis of this kind of disease, we usually do endoscopy with biopsy. So if you do the biopsy and you see that the villi of the intestine has been flattened, then you can think of celiac disease. And then for the other ones I talked about, all of them actually have to do with lactose or milk. So if the person cannot tolerate milk, then it means that the person has lactose intolerance. And then if the person has deficiency of the enzyme galactose-1 uridyl transferase, phosphate uridyl transferase, then it means that the patient will actually have accumulation of galactose in the body. And it is not only the diarrhea that thing is going to cause, it will cause several other diseases. So if you do a genetic analysis of this kind of thing, and then in the anamnesis, you also note that somebody in the family probably has that disease. So you can be able to tell everything.
We don't have enough time, so the last point, anybody who called, let's ask them very fast, so can leave on time. I would like to ask a question for Lillian, but let me first ask Dr. B. We talk about the diarrhea. How can somebody die of diarrhea? Can you see that can cause it? Briefly.
Diarrhea can actually lead to death. For example, the diarrhea due to cholera, viral cholera. The most common complication of viral cholera is dehydration. Dehydration is the most common, and this dehydration will lead to hypovolemic, can lead to hypovolemic shock. But the dehydration is in different classes. We have first degree, second degree, and third degree. By WHO, when you have dehydration of about 5% in the patient's body weight, this is classified as first degree dehydration. If you have from 6 to 9% of the patient's body weight, this will be seen as second degree dehydration. Then if you have from 10% and above of the patient's body weight, this will be seen as third degree dehydration. And third degree dehydration is the most common cause of hypovolemic shock. And hypovolemic shock can give rise to other complications. For example, it can lead to renal failure, renal disease, it can lead to metabolic acidosis, and other forms. So diarrhea disease can actually lead to death due to dehydration.
They are already worrying us about it, so we have to rush up the last one to have. And you don't call everybody to talk about the song. First of all, let me call on Can you tell us how we can take care of the diarrhea and what will you do in case there is no doctor to take care of the diarrhea? Then what measures, what do you measures to take care of the diarrhea? Can you tell us briefly?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. As you all know, diarrhea is a leading cause of death, especially in Africa. And basically, the care we take as nurses is based on the underlying factor of the disease. But one major thing we are looking at is we want to control the complication of diarrhea, which is death. In respect to what Dr. As I can say has just said, we try to control one major thing in diarrhea, the loss of electrolytes and body fluid, which automatically result to death. In that respect, based on the underlying factor, in a general perspective, the first thing we look at is personal hygiene. We look at personal hygiene, depends on the underlying factor. We encourage hand washing. We have inpatient and outpatient, and these are measures we take across the board. Hand washing, and we encourage bed rest, mostly for this patient, because internal motility can speed up the movement of food into the stomach and do not allow the colon to be able to absorb water, which lead to the excretion of the stool.
I want to ask you, in case where there is no doctor, so if immediate
that's what I'm saying. It depends on the underlying factor. Where there is no doctor, if it is any other cause unknown, we try to control the loss of fluid. And so what do? We prepare oral rehydration salt for oral rehydration therapy, which is done by 6 spoons of level teaspoons of salt and 1 spoon of level teaspoon of sugar and 1 liter of clean water. If it is not clean, you boil it to purify the water. And okay, what I wanted to share is just a short thing. We talk about hygiene, but this one thing I want to share is adaptive immunity. Because one experience I had is some people, what can cause you diarrhea cannot cause you diarrhea. Because from an experience, there's someone who traveled from the States, came to visit a family in the provinces, and the kids they met there, and like this person is trying to maintain hygiene, differentiate cups and everything. Unfortunately, the kids from the US got diarrhea and was wondering why. My kids, I kept them clean and everything, and these kids are not kept clean. What happened? Struggled to recover from diarrhea. And at the end of the session, we have to allow them to live with these kids, so they build up adaptive immunity, as we call it, and then they develop some strong sense of
Jim had a lot to talk about the treatment, but I want you to summarize the drugs. Just summary,
Alright, diarrhea, treatment of diarrhea is one common aspect that people make so much mistake about. That's why I will try not to rush through so you can at least get to that understanding. Okay, the first thing you do about diarrhea, like the first approach a doctor in nurse or any health provider will do is to try and maintain the water and the balance, like the healthy said. And normally you should give the oral rehydration therapy, which is 6 tablespoons of sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, and then dissolve the 1 liter of water and give that person. Now this treatment is not permanent because it doesn't compensate for particular kind of iron in the body we lost, potassium. Now this will compensate for sodium, will compensate for sugar, will compensate for water, but does not compensate for hypokalemia in that patient. So if that patient is sustained in that thing for so long, the patient will still end up dying. The patient will not be dehydrated, the patient will not be lacking glucose, the patient will not be lacking sodium, but the patient will be lacking potassium. When the patient lacks potassium in the system, because it's arrhythmia in the patient, and the patient dies. So that oral rehydration therapy is not a permanent treatment, except it is standardized on the world-based documentation, which is the sachet kind that has the potassium chloride in it. But in our homes, in our anywhere we are, we can more quickly do that oral rehydration therapy and sustain that patient for some time. In case you don't have that, you can use other things. There are other things that can maintain that balance. And that is you getting a cup of tea and putting honey in the honey and mix it can also serve as an oral tea for that patient. If you don't have that honey, you can boil it chicken broth, or boiled chicken broth, but without the fat. That can also compensate for emergency or in the local area where you don't have that treatment. Drugs is usually not the first step in treating diarrhea. It is a very big mistake most people do. When you're having diarrhea, immediately you run and buy tetracycline or metronidazole and you begin to take. You need to understand the causative organism or the causative factor of that diarrhea before you take drug. Because even when you start taking antibiotics, it might even complicate the patient's case. What if it's a viral, like you said, it's a rotaviral infection? Your antibiotics will be ineffective, and the antibiotics will end up causing diarrhea because of what we call dysbacteriosis. When that thing kills the normal flora in the intestine, it will give another kind of bacteria, which is called Clostridium difficile, which causes diarrhea. So example of such drugs that we should be careful about is antibiotics. So it's not really the first step you should do. You must have done some examination before you confirm if it's a bacterial infection or a viral infection, or if you actually need drug, which is functional diarrhea, or if it's infectious or non-infectious kind of diarrhea. So there are many other kind of medicine you should use. So don't rush to drugs. Don't just buy tetracycline. But in case you have that kind of diarrhea, now there are different kind of medicines to treat diarrhea. She said before that the diarrhea would be hypermotility from the stomach, from the GI tract, sorry. And if you have hypermotility, and doctor realizes that this is because of hypermotility. There's a classical drug that most people use that it works for most types of diarrhea. The trade name is called Imodium. If you know it's called cloramide. It's actually not an antibiotic, but it's not an antibiotic, but it works. It belongs to the plate family. It works very, very well on the GI tract to limit motility. There's peptose bismuth, or what you call bismuth compound. Bismuth compound also helps to decrease the amount of frequency or the amount of time the patient runs to the toilet for defecation. So these are classical kind of drugs. Now, the effect of these drugs, if you know pharmacology very well, you know what to call muscarinic receptor. Okay. All right. If you are trying to block, if you are trying to inhibit the parasympathetic system, that causes secretion, that causes stimulation of the GI tract, every other kind of secretion in the body. So you give this muscarinic blockers. Now, some drugs are not. There's no class of drug called like anti-diarrhea. You get it? But some drugs have such effect on diarrhea. Example of such drugs is when you have antihistamine. You know, when you have runny nose or you have flu, and you begin to take some antihistamine, you begin to see some symptoms like constipation. Or you're having depression and they're giving some TCDs, and you begin to see side effects like constipation. So such drugs have effects on diarrhea, but they are not really for diarrhea, but they have. So I don't have time, sorry. So I'll just try and cut this short. So in case you have time emergency, you can use the ORT from salt water, sugar combination, or you can boil chicken, remove the fat, and drink it, or you can get your tea, a cup of tea, and you put some honey in it and mix it. So such things can really help you for a short while before you get a professional.
We are almost running up. So there are other questions to discuss now. I won't call for those companies. So I'll call on Dr. Francis to summarize everything we've talked about diarrhea briefly and tell us his experience, real life experience about diarrhea and one or two advices he has for us.
First of all, I want to thank the panelists for the good job you've done. The diarrhea, as we have heard from our specialists, is a very common illness. It's also dangerous. Very dangerous in the sense that it kills. But for adults, it is not a big problem because I can say almost even today you might see one or two persons having diarrhea, but they don't take it as serious as anything because they know what to do. But for children, it is very, very dangerous. Why is it so? It is so because, especially infants below 2 years, 75% of the body weight of children is made up of water. And so when children lose water, they almost collapse within a short period. And that is why for them, it is very, very dangerous and it kills a lot. Now we've had diarrhea. What is diarrhea? We said having frequent loose stools. frequent what you're used to. That is the simplest thing. But if you want to be exact, you see, having 3 or more frequent used to, that is diarrhea. Now, what we call a talk of the types of diarrhea. So we had different types, osmotic, secretory, and all that. In the clinic, when you go to clinical practice, these things are not very important. When you think of acute diarrhea, chronic diarrhea, is this diarrhea acute or is it chronic? These are the main things to do. Why do you say acute? Acute when it is between the 1 day to 1 week, 10 days. It's acute. Now, chronic is 3 weeks and above. In between these two, you have one, you call it persistent. That is when it lasts 2 weeks, you call it persistent. Then apart from that one, you also think of mild, moderate, and severe. And this one is based on the degree of dehydration. Because this is what kills. So because of that, you classify it as mild, moderate, and severe. Now, you do this because the mode of treatment, the way of treatment is different. When it is mild to moderate, it is wireless. Oral rehydration therapy. Like I just said, they have prepared ones in sachets that you can use it to mix with 1 liter of water and drink as much as possible. Or you can just do the local mixture of 1 level teaspoon of salt plus 6 level teaspoon of sugar and mix it with 1 liter of clean water. And you drink it as much as possible and it does the work. Or even if where these ones are not, if you are not able to do that, and if you are in the relatives where there's coconut, just unripe coconut water does the magic. So these are very important. Then when it comes to severe, in severe case it means you have an acute infusion because at that time the patient is already collapsing and he cannot even take oral things. The person is lethargic, is weak, almost unconscious, is in shock, so you need to use oral infusion. Ringer's lactate, 9% sodium chloride. These are the things that are commonly used. Then when you talk of, there's also these causative agents that you have to be very, very serious. We have mentioned it here, cholera. We have different types, virus, bacteria, and protozoa, parasitic. Under parasitic, you have protozoans and then helminths too, worms. But one of the most dangerous is the cholera, the vibrio cholera. It is very, very important because it kills. It has endemic areas, endemic disease. It is in some areas, particular areas, it always experience. Then you have pandemic spread. You have pandemic that is spread between countries. It's very critical. You also have epidemic. Epidemic is saying that it spread very fast. Within a certain area. So that's very important. And fortunately, awareness is becoming so much that the death from this diarrhea is reducing, especially in the developing countries, where the hygiene condition is not so much, availability of potable water is limited, and then the way of disposing of our disposal is also not well proper. So we have to, the good thing is that we have ORS that's widely distributed, and because of that, and then people also are aware how to use this ORS, and because of that, the death rate is reducing. And if you look at it, from the WHO facts, 1976, there are 5 million deaths of children from diarrhea, children below 5 years from diarrhea. In 1990, it reduced up to 3.2 million deaths, and then by 2003, it went down to 1.6. So these are facts showing that this awareness is coming. Probably the way of disposal of waste materials is getting a bit better, but it's still a dangerous field. Now, fortunately for us in cholera, we also have a vaccine. The vaccine is used especially when you're going to an endemic area. Cholera vaccine lasts once we take lasts for 6 months. And so whenever you're traveling to any place where it's endemic, in Africa there are certain places that are endemic. Even in India, it is very endemic. In fact, there is a place in Bangladesh, and they have a type of elder, the second type elder, and it is called Bengal. That is very, very rampant. So whenever you're traveling to those places, you are advised to take the vaccine. And then we have to be, in fact, in this, according to Chidi, what he has said, it is a fact. When you have diarrhea, the most important thing is not the drugs. In fact, it is known that diarrhea, actually diarrhea is a self-limiting disease. Without taking any drug, if you start now and after 3 days, you see that it begins to go down. The most important thing is how to maintain your hydration. And so once you have diarrhea, the most important thing is ORS to take to stabilize yourself. You can be going to toilet and passing stool up to 3, 4 times, 20 times a day. But as far as you are taking, you are placing the most food, you do not have problems. So the most important thing is the hydration. That is it. Now I want to give us just little advice. We know that diarrhea is very common, but in as much as it's common, the preventive measures is very, very important. And so we have to take these things into consideration. These are the very most important things. What are the preventive measures? Regular washing of hands. Good waste disposal. In fact, whenever you get to the toilet, you should invite that. Whenever you go to the toilet, after the toilet, you should wash your hands. And then, for nursing mothers and even nursing mothers, before you feed your baby, before you feed your infant, you must wash your hands. After going to the toilet, you wash your hands. And even after you change your napkin, the napkins of the baby, you must wash your hands. Because why do you do so? You know that, as I've said earlier, the bodies of infants are mainly water, 75%. And so if you don't practice this way, you will end up carrying the pathogenic organism from hand to mouth. And so the whole circle will continue to revolve. And the area will continue to be there. And you know what happens? Malnutrition occurs. Because when you were passing through, there's no time for the body to absorb all the nutrients. Marasmus and kwashiorkor, all these things. So that's very, very important. And then for everybody, I would like to say that even though we know that diarrhea is common, let us know that it kills. And whatever thing we are doing, we must be sure proper. And if we do so, I think we will
I'd like to thank everybody and even the participants for their time they brought out to come and discuss with us. We don't have enough time. We have taken questions, but I want to apologize that they are already running us to this case. So we'll end the discussion without taking questions. But if you have a special question, you can get across to us and answer them. So once more, let us start. Please, thank you very much for your time. And I think there's something good we need to be doing to encourage ourselves to learn. But it has happened that we should have requested for more time than before. But please, I think our next month meeting, we should also try and come a bit early. This one we started by 1:25, but if you look at what went in, it requires more time. And if we have interacted, there will be more to learn or much to learn. We were thinking that an option would be we could go and continue in the common room, like with questions and reactions, as we take our refreshments, because for now, we have some little thing we have to break, we have some bread we have to break together. So when we will move to the 9th floor, as we take in that one, then we can also be asking questions. Would that be okay? No, would that be okay? So that someone will not carry the question. Is that okay? It's okay. Do you agree with that? So that we can go there, as you take your meat pie and that thing, you can be asking questions. Thank you very much. Now we would like to pray, and after that,